Hello, it's me. We're back again. It's Friday lesson 2, which means we're going to learn some tessellations, which means you've either done one of two things. You've either deliberately come to watch Mr. Harris do some teaching of tessellations, or you've accidentally arrived at the tessellations lesson and you're like, oh no, quickly skip, I don't need to get away from this madman. That's me. So, we're going to learn about tessellations today. Some of you will know things about tessellations, but I promise, you will leave today having learnt something you did not know about tessellations. So, that's a lot to fulfill, a lot to live up to. Therefore, I need to make sure that I live up to that promise. So, first of all, the standard thing I check is I look to my right and I go, have we got the microphone on? Because that's what I standardly do, isn't it? That's what I forget to do. So, first reminder. If you were with me earlier, you've already seen this reminder, but I'm just saying it to everyone today because I'd love to put more work on Mondays. I want to show people's work. I want to show off what you've been doing all week. So send them to me on Facebook. Send them to me on the email. I love seeing all the different things you're doing. I love to see Willow attempting the challenges and sent me some wonderful things of floating boats and things. So that is fantastic. The other thing I'm going to ask, if you or mums and dads and carers are willing to share all my lessons around. So today, later, I'm going to be putting out the timetable for next week. Please get them to share it everywhere they know, because the more people come along, the more people learning maths, the more interaction I get. And I've got to survive this lockdown somehow. And the interaction with all of you guys has been what's been doing it, because you're all amazing. So, hello Alicia, hello Lily, hello Alex Super Tiger, hello Paul, hello Willow, hello Advika, and hello everyone else who's joined me who hasn't written to me. Let's move on. Here's the scary tiger. Last lesson we did some stuff on multiplying and dividing fractions. You have got approximately some time to have a go at these questions if you can. Write down the questions, write down what you think the answers are. Hopefully by now you're starting all of my lessons with some paper and a pen just in case, because you know I like to. And if you don't do the questions, you know the tiger is there to intimidate you into making sure you have a go. Okay, and while you're doing it, good morning, Kyra. Excellent. It's not cute, Kyra. This tiger is fearsome and scary, and it's supposed to intimidate you into going, I'm going to have to try these fractions questions. So, pause the video if you need to. If you're watching this afterwards and you're like, oh, I need to make sure I have a go at this because you want to do the lesson properly, feel free to pause the video. But all my live... I need a name for all the wonderful people who join in live with me. My live mathematicians just doesn't seem like a good enough name. Anyone got a good idea for a name? Do let me know either in the comments or send me a message and let me know what you think we should call you all you wonderful people in the channel who come onto the live lessons. So, we've got top times top, bottom times bottom, 8 over 45. We've got top times bottom times bottom is 3 over 24, but that simplifies to 1 over 8. Remember, we did cancelling as well, so you can actually cancel that down. We've also got flip, kiss and flip. You flip the second fraction upside down and change it to a times, which means we've got 20 over 14 or 10 over 7, which simplifies to 1 over 1 and 3/7. If you're stuck on any of those questions, there is a lesson you can reverse and go back to. Not now because we're together, but later on you can go back and try the multiplying fractions. I promise you, it's there to help you get better at fractions. Well done everyone who got those right. Parasites. That sounds a little bit like a cult, Willow. I feel a little bit like I'd have followers and it'd be a little bit crazy. But we'll go with what people want to come up with. So any more ideas, I'd love to hear them. Let's move forward. This is what I'm talking about today. This is tessellation. This is beautiful tessellation. All of these butterflies, all beautifully tessellated together. Because tessellation, if you didn't know already, is where you fit shapes together with no gaps. They fit so perfectly together, there's no gaps. And all of these are identical shapes. Because the other thing with tessellation, you need to use identical shapes for tessellation. So you're squeezing them together and somehow have been designed so they've got no gaps. And if you look very carefully, you can see how clever it is, that this design. I'm going to show you some ways today we can look at A, what makes things tessellate, and B, how we can make some designs like this. Here's another one. These lovely, I mean, there's small, tiny gaps, but these are physical objects. It's very difficult to do with physical objects. These are either parrots or crazy chickens. I don't know which one it is. Maybe they're crazy chickens. But They are all fitting together. You can see there's a gap where one would need to go. I don't know who's stolen that. If any of you have stolen that, the crazy chicken, if you could please put that back, because I need it in this picture right now. So I'll have to have a look in the subscribers and in the live chat to see who's been stealing bits from my pictures. So I'm back. You've got to look at me for a second. I'm going to be talking to you about what makes things tessellate. Now I'm going to speak to you very, very briefly about angles. So the angles that things come together help with tessellation, because if I show you this, I'm just drawing it. We've got 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees. Because of that, any shape that's got that square would fit together nicely, which is why squares tessellate. And we'll come to that in a second. I'll show you a nicer version than me drawing it. But we've got, excuse me, just hiding around the corner of my whiteboard, we have got 4 squares fitting together, which is why it works. We can also look at some other shapes that would work because of their angles. For example, we have talked a little bit about equilateral triangles. And one fact about equilateral triangles is that their angles are 60 degrees. And 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, and 60. I may have said too many 60s there, I don't know. No one knows. Hopefully I haven't recorded this on video or anything for anyone to be able to check whether I was wrong or not. 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, 60. That means they must tessellate as well. Equilateral triangles must tessellate because they're all 60s. Therefore, they all fit together to make 360. If the same angle makes 360. Now, there's not many. Let's have a look. We're talking about 2 different types of shapes here. We've got, on the one hand, I don't know why I'm hitting my plate. That was my croissant from earlier. We've got, on the one hand, we've got regular shapes. They are where all the sides are the same size as each other, and so all the angles are the same. And we've got irregular shapes. Let's hide myself for a second and see what we're talking about. Here's some shapes. The orange ones are the regular ones. They've all got the same size. We've got equilateral triangle, we've got a square, and we've even got a hexagon. We've then got some irregular shapes, because they're not identical like all the way around the outside, but all of these shapes have something in common. In order to show you what, it is it is important for me to go across to my live studio. And I'm on my live studio. This is me live. I don't know if I'm visible in my live studio. That might be useful. And here we go. I've got a 10-second lag, so you can always tell when I change things over and I'm not sure whether it's worked. I always talk randomly for a bit just so I can glance to my right and see whether I'm in your screen or not. But I've got away with it. I'm just going to move these up so that you can see me. There we go. So I said that these all tessellate. Prove it, Mr. Harris. Well, okay. Here's one. And if I copy it and put another one, but I put it... Oh, it doesn't want to be next to each other, does it? Oh, dear. I'm going to have to draw them. Okay. That's still fine. I need to draw another one of these shapes upside down there. And another one of those shapes upside down there. And another one of it. And we can see it does tessellate. Like I said it would because of the angles. I didn't tell any lies. And we could carry this on forever. It would be a bit boring if I did this forever. But that's showing you one shape. What about this hexagon? Sir, surely you're not telling us the hexagon's going to work. Well, obviously, if you've downloaded the worksheet already, you'll know the hexagon works because I've drawn some for you on there. Here's the top of a hexagon. Here's the side. And the reason a hexagon works, any of you year 8s and 9s were like, oh yeah, but we're not learning anything, we knew about tessellation. Well, okay. Did you know that the reason it works is because that angle is 120 degrees? And that angle is 120 degrees. And that angle is 120 degrees. And that's why hexagons are the only polygons, the biggest polygons that work. Because above that, their angles are all too big and they don't work. So there you go. I am teaching you something new, even if you don't believe me. And so we can do this. And you could carry this on forever. I'm not going to, but hopefully you can see another nice little tessellating pattern. What about these ones? Well, I have said it's possible to do it with these. I'm going to show you this one. If I carry that arrow on and put it like that, and then I draw this. Oh, I haven't made that big enough. You have to make it big enough, otherwise it won't work. Boop, 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 boop. I don't know why I feel the need to make silly noises while I'm doing it. Blame my father. And what we can do is, if we point the arrow the other way, we can do... I'm going to overlap that shape for a second. I'll rub it out in a second. Hopefully you can see these arrows, forwards, backwards, they tessellate. And this is because that's 90 degrees and that angle in there is 270 degrees. So it makes 360 when it fits together. This angle here is 90 and it goes together with a 45 and a 45 to make a 180 plus this 180 there makes 360. We've got to get everything that meets together to make 360, otherwise it won't work. But you can see some quite stylish ones. This one just repeats bonk, bonk. And you have to make the noise. If you don't make the noise, they don't tessellate. So you have to make the noise. I'm joking, you don't have to make the noise. It's just fun. Okay, so hopefully we can see from that some quite cool tessellations. Let's go back to the studio. This was the studio. Let's go back to my PowerPoint and we'll see where we're going with this next. So what we want to be able to do is make some cool tessellating patterns. And to do that, I've prepared something. I've prepared a square. It's a magic square because it's going to do something very clever. I want to show you how we can make a tessellating template. Here's my tessellating template. And here is my blank paper that I'm going to use. I'm going to use a whiteboard, but you've all got paper you can use. I would recommend card for this, and I recommend little bits of sellotape. Now I'm going to get a little bit of sellotape. Now when I use sellotape, I generally get it all over my face, mouth, it sticks to everything. I'll try and behave like a mature adult when I'm using the sellotape, but I can't promise it's going to work. So I start with my square. Now the point of a tessellation is it's got to fit together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine I'm making a little fish. And the back of my fish has some fins. So here's the back of my fish. Now I recommend you use a pencil and draw your shape out first. I'm taking shortcuts. I'm going to get some sellotape and I'm going to find the start, which is always difficult. Never find the start of sellotape. Now there is a method that you can do this without sellotape if you haven't got any, but I think sellotape makes it nice and easy. Because what I've done, just to show you now, I've cut the edge off and I stuck it on the other side. So that shape must tessellate because that bit must fit in there because we cut it out from there. But this isn't a very good fish yet. So what can I do? Well, I'd quite like it if the fish goes in a bit. So I'm going to just show you that it's probably best to use a pencil. I'm going to do something like this. I'd like it to go in and then up like that. So I've got a little fin. So what's going to happen is I will cut this out. And around. So I take my fin. It was there. I move it above. And once again, I'm going to need a little bit of sellotape to stick it down. Now you can make more complicated designs than this. I'm just showing you a simple design because I'm on video and I want you to be able to do it quickly without me doing 400 steps and you're going, oh my goodness, 4 hours later he's still designing a shape. So here's my shape. It might not look very fishy, but you wait till I improve it and show you what we can do. What I then do is I take my blank paper. I've got a blank whiteboard, but you're going to use paper. And I put my template over the top. And I very carefully, I draw around it. And so here I go, zoom, a voom, a voom, a voom. You don't have to make the silly noises when you're drawing. I like to because I'm slightly odd. So here you can see all I've done is drawn around it. I then move it along to its next space and draw around it again. And you're going to need to repeat this quite a few times. Depending on the size of your shape and the size of your paper, you probably want to do at least 8 or 9. I'm also going to do some going down but hopefully the template, especially if you've used card, makes it nice and easy to draw around. So you can see mine starting to grow. I'm not going to show you all of them, but that's how we're going to do it. Then, only once you've got all your tessellating shapes is when you start doing the design. So I need my fishy. I want my fishes to have eyes. So I'll put some eyes in. And they're all going to have little mouths. And I'm going to put some little things on the fins. And some things off the back fins. It's kind of like an alien fish. But that's okay, because it's my alien fish. So now what's also cool is you can then do some quite cool designs with colours. I haven't used any colours because I wanted to show you the design first. So you can see I have very quickly been able to make a design with fish. Now you don't have to do fishes. You can do any sort of design you can think of. You can do football kits is one that I saw in my class. Someone did manage to do some really cool football kits where they just had like half a shirt fitting with, and in the next half a shirt fitting in front of that, and the next half a shirt fitting there. That was very clever. You don't have to make your designs all the same. So we could now have like a green and blue one, a yellow and red one, a green and blue one. You could do lots of different designs of colours. You can do stripes, dots. The design bit is entirely up to you. But I wanted to show you how you can use tessellation to make some quite interesting shapes. Okay. Right, the Harris Hawks. Wow. So we're flying together in packs, solving their problems together, just like us. Willow, that is fantastic. I absolutely love that. I shouldn't be looking at the screen. I should be showing you this. This is what I'm hoping you're going to go away and do. So, this is going to be your target. I'm going to hide myself. That is my challenge. You're going to make a tessellation. Oh dear. Mr. Harris has made a spelling mistake. Tessellation is not spelt like that, is it? It's tessellation, not tessellation. Mr. Harris will have to write that word out 10 times to correct it. Tessellation. Template and poster. Use card for the template, makes it easier. Sellotape can make it also, or the same sides method. Same sides is where whatever you draw on one side, you have to also draw on the other side, but the opposite. I will quickly show you what I mean. So if instead of wanting to use sellotape, I wanted to do cutting out on both sides, that's also allowed. Now to do so, I should have had some paper spare. Here we go. What I mean by that is, when I'm doing my design with drawing, if I want to do that method, I can do it with cutting out by going, well, if that's going to be what I'm going to cut out, then I need to have the same idea here. And instead of sticking on, I need to have the same thing on both sides. And I'd cut out that bit, but I'd also cut off those corners and that corner so that it fits together. That's the same sides method. You can do it without sellotape that way. It just means that you have to be very careful to make sure that whatever you design on each end is the same, and whatever you do on the top and bottom is the same. You can do it even with hexagons if you're super clever. I'd love to see what people come up with. Their tessellation designs. Colour in your design, and then you can find the worksheet in the description if you want to. So, yes, you're absolutely right, Miss Claire Blades. I do need to do 100 lines on how to do tessellation. What I can do is I can do 100 lines that all fit together, and that would be terrible, wouldn't it? Right. So there's your homework, your challenge, your Friday creative challenge. I try and make my Friday challenges for you a bit creative, and it's a game for the year 3s to 6s. The year 5 to 9s have a creative challenge, learning some different things and then trying to create something. So there you go. That's all. I've given you your challenge now. I've taught you about tessellation. In today's lesson, you learnt that you need to use shapes. Which shapes tessellate? I can quickly go back and show you that. With the magic of hello. There it is. All these different shapes tessellate. I showed you how you can do it by drawing out the shape and making them match together. If you want to have a go at some of these shapes or find some of your own shapes that tessellate, that would be fantastic to see. I also then went through and showed you how we can do a clever thing that makes a creative pattern design and I showed you on the whiteboard my fish. My fish aren't the best, but I'm sure some of you will produce some amazing stuff. Do consider liking and subscribing if you've enjoyed the video, even if you're watching it later. Do come along every day at 11 o'clock. I'll put my timetable out later. Go on Facebook and check the timetable. There's likely to be one day next week that I'm not doing. I'm trying to give myself one rest day because, believe it or not, I'm a board game designer as well. I'm trying to get my own board game published. So there's that. Also, I think some of you would enjoy the board game design competition I've been launching on Facebook. That was a Facebook video. I'm trying to learn Facebook videos as well. So if that does sound interesting, or if you've been doing it, check that out on Sunday. That'll be a Sunday video. And you can go back and watch it. If you go to Facebook and you click on my videos on my Mr. Harris School of Maths, you will find that video so you can watch it back and find out what to do. I'm working on my farming video. You guys have all been amazing, as always. You Harris Hawks have all been incredible. So, like a Harris Hawk, I'm going to fly away? Sure, I'm going to fly away. See you later, or I'll see you on Sunday or on Monday.